What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another round of Premier League predictions. Not a full host of Premier League games this week. There are a couple of teams that aren't playing due to the Cup final this weekend. Manchester United against Newcastle. But here we go with our Premier League predictions. We've got scores as well, which is 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result, and the star man, which is 5 points for a goal, 3 points for an assist. And once you pick that man, you cannot pick them again for the rest of the season. But let's get straight into it with Friday night football this weekend. Fulham against Wolves. Once again, we've gone for the exact same scoreline here in 1-1. And for me, I think both of these teams currently on form at the moment. Lopetegui seems to be getting a tune out of Wolves, albeit they same old with Wolves, where they can't seem to find the back of the net as regularly as they would like. Fulham without Mitrovic this weekend, or potentially without Mitrovic this weekend. He's a major doubt for the game. I can just see this game being split by 1-1.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling the same thing. I think Wolves will come to Craven Cottage knowing it's a quite a hard game, and I think they'll look to set up to frustrate Fulham. Fulham, on the other hand, I don't think they can play as well against teams who look to frustrate them as opposed to teams who look to play against them. So I think that both teams will find a moment to score, but I just think the honours will be split in this one.
All right, let's move on. Everton against Aston Villa at Goodison Park. We've gone for the exact opposite scorelines here. 1-0 to Everton, I've gone for. 1-0 to Villa, Sim's gone for. And what's your thinking behind this one?
Yeah, I think Aston Villa are obviously, having lost 4-2 at home to Arsenal in a spirited performance last time out, they'll want to make sure they put things right results-wise. Everton have started life under Sean Dyche pretty well. A home win against Arsenal and a home win against Leeds, 1-0 each, with sandwiched in between a 2-0 defeat away at Anfield. I just got a feeling that Unai Emery away from home is not going to take things lightly in this game. He's going to make sure that their defence is rock solid. Everton without Calvert-Lewin, I do see them struggling to find real moments of quality, and you've got to remember the quality they showed at Arsenal and against Leeds. Leeds was a big slice of luck from Seamus Coleman. Arsenal, they got a goal from a corner, and I just think Villa are scoring right now. They're scoring goals. Watkins is in great form. I see them scoring a goal, and I think they're going to keep things tight. So I've gone for an Unai Emery special, 1-0.
Yeah, well, you've gone for the Unai Emery special. I've gone for the Sean Dyche special. I think Aston Villa are going to get Dyche this weekend, albeit Aston Villa away from home have been producing results, really impressive results as well. Win against Southampton, win against Spurs, win against Chelsea, all under Unai Emery. I'm looking at Everton since Dyche has come in. Their home form, 2 wins on the bounce, 2 1-0 wins, impressively done so against Arsenal especially, and I think it's going to be a repeat of that this weekend. So I've gone for 1-0 to Everton. Sim's gone for 1-0 to Villa. Let me know your score predictions in the comment section below as we move on to Leeds against Southampton. Sim's gone for 2-1 to Leeds. I've gone for 2-2, and this was the hardest one for me to pick out of the whole weekend of what score this is going to be. And I think Leeds, they're struggling to find goals at the moment, but they're not struggling to find chances. They are creating a bundle of chances, but they just can't seem to put the ball in the back of the net. Southampton, on the other hand, one game without their manager, which was an impressive win at Stamford Bridge last time out. So I think they'll go into this game with a bit of confidence off the back of that. But I think with the amount of chances Leeds are creating, they're bound to get one or two in the net at some point. And against a fragile Southampton defence, I've gone for 2-2.
Yeah, I think Leeds, obviously 19th versus 20th, it's a massive game. And I think Leeds at home to Southampton, I think that the crowd will be on their side. Southampton had a brilliant result last time out against Chelsea, although, in my opinion, they did get a lot of luck in that second half to make sure they didn't concede. And I think Leeds have a lot of talent to hurt Southampton. I think both sides see this as an opportunity to win. So I do see this being a very open game, and I do see there being lots of chances either side. I just think Leeds will have more about them to finish those chances, whereas Southampton, I think, will flatter to deceive a bit. Both managerless, so it's like the managerless derby at the moment. Both in the relegation zone. So I see it being an open game.
Don't Leeds have a manager now?
Oh yeah, they did just appoint someone. Javi Gracia's first game. Yeah. Good point. So even more so, I think Leeds are going to win that.
Fair enough. Let's move on to Leicester against Arsenal. Again, we've gone for very similar scorelines here. 2-2 Sim's gone for. I've gone for 3-2 to Arsenal. And what are you feeling about this one?
Yeah, I feel like Arsenal obviously had a great result against Aston Villa last time out, 2 last-minute goals. I did think I saw some frailties in their back line, especially on the counter-attack. And I do think, I know there's rumours about Maddison being injured and he's going to have a late fitness test. So a lot depends if he's fit or not. If he's not fit, I do think Arsenal might scrape this one. But if he is fit, I actually think Leicester have the kind of capabilities to really hurt Arsenal in this game, especially at home. I thought they were really unlucky against Man United last time out, where they found David De Gea in really inspired form. And I think the way Arsenal play, the way Barnes and Tete like to find those spaces in the wide areas and really attack down those sides, I can actually see them getting a lot of joy there. Iheanacho's in good form as well. If he can kind of drop deep in those areas and link up with Maddison and the two forwards, I can see them causing Arsenal a lot of trouble. Albeit Arsenal, I don't see them not scoring. I do think that Leicester can be got at the back, and although Faust and Suter look decent, I do think on the sides where Saka and Martinelli play, I see them getting joy there. So I do think Arsenal will get goals, but I actually think I can see Leicester at home hurting them, and I do think Leicester are playing quite well right now. So I'm on for 2-2.
Yeah, Leicester are playing well. I mean, that game against Manchester United last week was definitely not a 3-0 game, and Leicester definitely should have got on the score sheet at least 2 goals in the first half. And obviously they beat us quite convincingly the week before. Arsenal, on the other hand, they have started to show a fragile defence, to be honest. Both of these teams are showing very fragile defences at the moment. Obviously, Leicester a bit more than Arsenal, to be honest, at the moment. But look, I think this is going to be a really open game, a really good game of football, and I can just see Arsenal nicking it. I think Leicester might even take the lead here, but I think Arsenal will come back and take the victory, unfortunately. So I've gone for 3-2 to Arsenal. Moving on to West Ham against Nottingham Forest. I've gone for 0-0 in this game. Sim's gone for 2-0 to West Ham. Forest, worst away team in the league this season, and West Ham, they're just on shocking form. I mean, I was actually so shocked how bad they were in the game against us, and you feel like if they can't get up for a game against us, which they usually always do, then which games are they going to get up for? And I think Nottingham Forest are going to set up to frustrate West Ham. I don't know if West Ham are going to be able to break down Forest, because they just can't seem to score at the moment. So I've gone for 0-0.
I think West Ham tend to pick their games when they go a bit more offensive and when they really have a go and when they try and shut up shop. And I think this is one of the games they're going to pick to, at home to Nottingham Forest, they're going to pick to really have a good go, especially after the London derby defeat to us last week. The fans will want a reaction back at home, and I think this is a massive game for them. They have to win. A draw's a terrible result. A loss is an absolute disaster. And I think if they really want to make sure that they're still 18th, if they want to get clear of relegation, they need to win games like this. And I think Forest are playing well right now, but I do think West Ham, they do have a lot of quality. So I think if they really have a good go at it, they can get the win. So I've gone for 2-0.
All right, Bournemouth against Manchester City next. Sim's gone for 2-0 to Man City. I've gone for 3-1. Tell me your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I think Bournemouth struggling to score goals at the moment, albeit they've been a bit better since January. I think Man City, 2 games in a row now, they've dominated, had lots of chances, but haven't been able to kill the game, and have conceded a late equaliser away from home. And you could argue it could be primed for that, but I reckon I can't see them continuing to miss these chances, and I think away at Bournemouth they'll go 1-0 up and then they'll seal it in the second half, as opposed to Bournemouth equalising. So I've gone for 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, Man City not having the best of things on the road at the moment. Only 1 win in their last 6 in all competitions, which is crazy for Man United in that game. That win coming against Arsenal at the Emirates. Bournemouth, on the other hand, on the back of 2 impressive performances and results, 1-0 away at Wolves and 1-1 at home to Newcastle. I think they're good for a goal here, especially at home, but I think Man City will just overpower them at some stage and just win the game 3-1. Erling Haaland hasn't scored in a couple of games, so I think he'll definitely be getting on the score sheet in this one. So I'm going 3-1 to Manchester City. Next up is Crystal Palace against Liverpool. Sim's gone for 1-1. I've gone for 2-1 to Liverpool. I mean, I've not really been impressed with Palace. I mean, this season in general, especially of late, Liverpool, a very Jekyll and Hyde side. Obviously away from home they've been not so great throughout the season, but it seems as though, it did seem anyway before the Champions League game, that the tide was turning a little bit with Liverpool, and they are coming a bit on form, closing in on the top 4 a little bit. But that game against Real Madrid, they went 2-0 up, and you're thinking, wow, maybe Liverpool are back, but they got absolutely battered 5-2 at Anfield as well. But I do think they will get back to winning ways, but I think it'll be a very tight game.
Yeah, I see it being a tight game, and I think Palace are really difficult to play against at the moment in a weird way. Despite the fact they're not getting many wins, they're not losing many games either, and every game seems to be very, very tight. And even they've drawn 4 of their last 5, and in the game they lost, it was 2-1 away at Man United. It was a very close game, and I think at Selhurst Park, where it's a very congested pitch, it's quite tight. Everything's quite close together. I can see Liverpool struggling to find the space to really hurt Palace, and I think Palace right now are a tough nut to crack in terms of beating them. So I see another draw here, 1-1.
All right, and last but not least is Tottenham against Chelsea, and finally we've gone for the same result here, 1-0 to Tottenham. Talk to me about this one.
Yeah, I think Chelsea, they're not conceding many goals, but they're just not they can't seem to make it click right now going forward. I think Potter's still obviously trying to find his best 11. He's probably trying to find his best 18, let alone his best 11 right now with all the players he's got to contend with. And they're just a lot of chopping and changing. They got no rhythm, and I think Spurs at the moment at home, last 2 home results have been big performances and clean sheets, and I don't see it being a pretty game, to be honest, because I remember watching Chelsea at Anfield and it was a 0-0 and it was a drab affair, lack of quality. I do see something similar here, like I do see a very kind of battle kind of game, not much quality in terms of footballing, but I do think right now we have the edge. So I'm just going to go for Spurs to nick it 1-0.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling the same way, to be honest. And since that wobble we had at home with Aston Villa and Arsenal, with that double header that we did lose at home, we've been looking good. A 1-0 win against Man City, 2-0 win against West Ham in 2 big games for Spurs. So I think, and I'm kind of thinking, like, if we don't beat Chelsea this weekend, then when the hell are we going to beat them? Because like this is the worst Chelsea side I've seen for a while, and they can't buy a win at the moment. 2 wins in their last 17 under Graham Potter is nowhere near good enough for them. The confidence is clearly down at Chelsea, so I'm going for a 1-0 Tottenham win. Let's move on to the star men, and Sim's gone for Jared Bowen. What do you think about Bowen?
Forest at home. I think Bowen's form has definitely improved. Even against Spurs last week, he was their brightest player, and maybe could have gone the score sheet on a couple of occasions. When they really needed him to step up recently against Everton at home, he did and got a double. And I do think his form's improving. I think they need him to step up again in a very, very big game down at the bottom for them, where they really need the 3 points. And I can see him doing that. So I've gone for Bowen as my star man in this one.
Yeah, I've gone for a bit of a risk of Pep Roulette, obviously, because Riyad Mahrez did play in the Champions League last night against Leipzig. Hopefully he will play in the game. He does seem to be one of Pep's favoured ones at the moment, because he's been on sensational form since the return of football after the World Cup. So I've gone for Riyad Mahrez away to Bournemouth. So I think, especially with Kevin De Bruyne injured, supposedly injured anyway, if he is going to miss the game, I think if anything is going to go through anyone, it's going to go for Riyad Mahrez this weekend. So I've gone for Mahrez, Sim's gone for Jared Bowen. Let me know your score predictions for this weekend's Premier League fixtures in the comment section below. Let me know your star man as well, and also let us know who you think is going to come out on top this weekend, me or Sim. Thank you everyone for joining today. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always,
come on you Spurs.